TSU head coach Eddie George. Tigers are coming off a game where they fell short against UT Martin, who's now nationally ranked in the polls again. They're going to conclude the season non-conference matchup, Texas A&M Commerce, Saturday in Texas. So, Coach, just thoughts on your team, and we'll go to some questions.
Yeah. Last week was another tough loss against a worthy opponent, UT Martin, who was last year's champion. I thought our defense played well enough to win. Offensively, we still struggled to try to put points on the board. Had our opportunities, did not execute the way that we needed to. I think our overall effort was really there, considering that, we walked into that week with technically nothing to play for, but our guys are still fighting for each other and still playing the game of football that we all love. And we're trying to roll into the offseason with some momentum with the game this week. Hopefully we can pull out the victory.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to Mike Organ first. Go ahead, Mike.
After the game Saturday, you mentioned there could be some changes coming. Have you thought any more in detail, and could you be more specific about that?
No, I hadn't really made any plans right now. I think in the situation, whether it's personnel changes or staff, whatever that may be, I'm going to address it all. I'm going to look at everybody, including myself, in terms of what we can do better, what we can get better at. But right now, I'm just really focused on, Texas Commerce and Texas A&M Commerce, and trying to get away with trying to come out there with a victory and assess that as we move forward later in the year.
And secondly, how would you assess the year so far winding down? Did you take steps forward, a step back, or did you kind of stay status quo?
That's a great question, Mike. If you ask me this question a week from now, I probably can give a answer. But I think at this point in time, we definitely made some strides forward. But we also took some steps back in a lot of areas. I felt like offensively, we clearly got to get better in terms of being able to execute in the red zone. I think the pieces are there. We have to add a few more pieces up front. We're losing some guys, and that's where we have to get stronger. And we have to have more continuity and more of a chemistry offensively. Defensively, I think we're ranked the top 5 or top 10 in red zone defense, I believe. Really show some signs there, growth in that area. And the defense is a year ahead of our offense right now. So we talk about complementary football. That's where we have to do it. And I felt like, when we played teams that we're trying to compare ourselves to, the Jackson States, the CMOs, the UT Martins, I think we're getting better. I think we're seeing some growth there. So, we're just continuing to chop wood, continuing to see what we can get better at in all 3 phases, and seeing that, hey, we are moving in the right direction, and we just got to stay with it.
Thanks.
Brandon, you're up. Go ahead, Brandon.
Can you hear me? Just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Coach, I heard you mention earlier this week that you would be kind of looking at the Texas A&M Commerce game in terms of from a spring football perspective. Taking that into account, will you perhaps be looking at some different guys and putting them in that maybe you hadn't seen to try to evaluate them a little further in kind of live action, or will that kind of wait until actual spring ball comes about?
Great question, Brandon. Yeah, we're going to look at a couple of different guys, get some opportunities to see what they can do. Not treating this as a spring game at all, like in terms of that, but just in terms of the work that we're putting in that is intentional, trying to figure out ways of getting better. Clearly, we're trying to win this football game, no question, but also we want to look at some other guys that we feel like, hey, well, let's put him in action. Let's see what he can do and kind of move forward. Excuse me. So yeah, that's our intention, is to get some other guys in and to see where they're at and kind of go from there.
Okay. And then obviously, like you kind of mentioned a bit earlier, obviously next week you'd have a better kind of account of what you've gotten and everything in terms of the season. When that time comes, will you do things maybe like self-scouting and things of that nature to kind of better assess those areas of improvement?
Do some self-scouting. We're gonna have some special projects that'll be assigned to the staff to kind of do a breakdown of where we are and where we need to get better at, because we may look at it on paper, say, oh, we're stronger here, but really when we look at it, we're not very good on first and second down. You know, and why is that? Where can we be more efficient? You know, I may see it as, well, you know, we're not running the ball effectively on first downs, and why? You know, what's happening here? So it's a good opportunity for us to get better in that regard. So self-scouting, really taking a deep dive into personnel, seeing who we want to be moving forward, and how we need to compete in this level and beyond.
Right. Hey, do I have time for one quick?
Yeah, one more. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you for taking the time out to talk with us. So, you know, I've seen you become immersed in more of the HBCU culture. So I'm not sure if you're aware, up in MEAC country, I'm trying to get this going. They have the Battle of the Real HU with Howard and Hampton. Now, taking into the account the uncertainty around the Southern Heritage Classic and how that's gonna play out, and I'm gonna ask Coach McKinney this: would you be open to the Battle of the Real TSU with that other school with our same letters somewhere in Houston or whatever they are?
Would I be open? I'm open to playing anyone within, you know, it's relative to us. Absolutely. I think we've talked about that. It's just a matter of us figuring out what makes sense for both schools and how that looks. You know, now in this day and age, with so much changing between conferences and alliances, you know, that could happen sooner than later. But that probably won't happen not until 25, 26. So that could be a possibility.
Okay, so they've got 3 years of smack talk. Okay, gotcha. Well, thanks, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Brandon. Thank you.
Coach, appreciate your time this year. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.